Hello, everybody. It is the Famous of Breath here, and I'm taking a break from working on music, trying to figure out why my guitar mixes suck, to talk about some comments that good old Chester Bennington from Linkin Park made that really is disturbing. And I got to set the record straight on kind of why they are actually sellouts, which is funny because that's kind of the thing that he told people to stab themselves in the face over. Yes, that is a literal quote. He was talking to Music Week. They asked him, what he thought about the fans or people that are suggesting that the reason they're making the pop music now that they are is strictly for monetary gain or whatnot. And yeah, that was his quote. He said, well, first of all, he says he doesn't care that they think that. But then he goes ahead and says, stab yourself in the face. And then later they ask him, about the desire of the band to move on from their hybrid theory sound. And he said, basically, it's been years now. Move the F on, people. That's. So let's just talk about this, right? Linkin Park is the literal definition of a sellout. They not only change up their sound completely 180 degrees, 100%, they change up how they look, okay? If you go back to Hybrid Theory and Meteora and whatnot, and then transition to Minutes to Midnight, they changed everything. They changed wearing baggy cargo pants. They changed up wearing band t-shirts, backward ball caps, stuff like that. They go to wearing grungy clothes, leather jackets, leather pants, and stuff like that. Everybody, even Mr. Hahn and Brad Delson, which seems completely out of left field, right? Well, now that they're transitioning from rock music to just straightforward 100% pop music, they're wearing fedoras. They're wearing those stupid shirts that, you have to button completely up to the Adam's apple, otherwise they look retarded, right? They're wearing skinny jeans. How they're talking is different. They're acting like they're ashamed they ever did rock music to begin with. That's the definition of a sellout. You're completely changing up everything. And it's like, you guys did the rock music thing for years, and it was something that you liked and were passionate about. You didn't just wake up one day and decide, oh, I want to do pop music. Complete 180, right? And here's the sad thing that's about all this, all right? The pop music world, okay? If you take like a Lamborghini or something like that, like a sports car that goes 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, 7 figures rather, in monetary value. Let's say a pop song is the equivalent of the car, right? All the pop artist on the cover is on that car? They're the small logo on the hood or dashboard or that little ornament. That's all they are. Because if you take a pop song, the average pop artist doesn't play any musical instruments on the record. They don't provide any unique singing experience. They're completely coached from beginning to ending on how to sing the song. They don't write any of the lyrics. They have 8 to 10 writers on a record and multiple producers. Don't believe me? Go look at Beyonce's albums, okay? They contribute little to nothing. And the content is lazy, it's classless, it's all about debauchery. There's nothing to it. There's a couple of pieces of sound effects from a keyboard and then maybe one synthesized beat, and that's it. There's nothing to it. And that is what is shoved down everyone's throats, and everyone says it's good music. Meanwhile, you have bands where the members can play multiple musical instruments. They can record, mix, and master all their music, produce it, get the album ready, put it out on iTunes or Amazon, and they're lucky if it sells 100 albums. And a lot of them are living by the skin of their teeth thanks to fans that support them through Kickstarter and GoFundMe. Okay? Now, here's what's sad about all of this. Is that Linkin Park came up playing music where you had to play multiple musical instruments, or at least one. You had to be able to record all of your stuff. You had to be able to sing. And they played music that was aggressive, that was loud, that was against the grain. It wasn't exactly radio-friendly, quote-unquote. And they came up like a lot of bands. See, what people don't realize is the records themselves, if you're with a record label, you don't get a lot of money from that. Where you get your money, where you get the ability to fund your stuff, fund your musical instruments that you may be in debt for, and everything like that, is through touring. You go to different sites or whatnot, different concerts and venues and whatnot, and people will buy the tickets. They buy the CDs or digital downloads. They buy the merchandise. And if they like your stuff, you get a grassroots movement. You get a good word of mouth, and they support you. And that's how a lot of bands get started. And that's how Linkin Park did it. They came up playing for 100 people in a bar or 500 people at a club or whatnot. They did it the hard way. That's what's so disappointing about this. They didn't come up playing the easy music. And now that they've made it, they're saying, hey, we don't want to play the music that actually requires you to have talent. We want to go over here and make this music that is trashy, that is so polarizing. Let's take a look at one of my favorite bands, Seven Dust, okay? These guys have stayed true to their sound, true to their fan base for years, and they had every reason not to. They got screwed over by the record label. $1 million in debt, was going to have to go bankrupt. They couldn't even fund a record. The only thing that they could do to help pay off the money was touring, and it was thanks to loyal fans. Speaking of fans, people said they don't have a right to feel entitled to Linkin Park's sound and everything like that. And I can get where that's coming from, but let me explain something to you. Let's take another metaphor. Let's say you have a family member or friend that comes up to you and says, hey, I have this dream job that I'm wanting to do for a living that requires a lot of money or it requires like a long trip across the country or across the world. I don't have the money for it, but it's something that I really am passionate about and want to do. I need your help. Can you give me the money? Can you loan me the money or anything like that? And the family members or friends say, sure, we'll help you out, and they give you what you need. Let's say you do make it. Let's say you get big. Let's or quote unquote get big. Let's say you start making the money you need doing the job you love. Okay, let's say after you've gotten that, you tell your family members to literally kill themselves. You act like you never even knew them, abandon them, and just don't have any contact with them. Anything like that. There are people that won't fund their family members or friends in that sort of way, but they'll do it for a band because music can speak to you in a way that very few things can, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, mentally, everything. The music can hit you just right because you have certain likes and dislikes, you have certain characteristics, you have certain life events that have happened to you, anything like that. How many times have we seen a band get a letter from a fan saying, hey, your songs, your music helped me through depressing times, suicidal times, or just rough times in general? Music helps people. They will fund a band's dream to make music for a living like they wouldn't do for a family member or friend because it's so valuable to them. And for Linkin Park to just completely trash their fan base, tell them to literally kill themselves, even if it's facetious and joking or not. And these fans have been there since the early years. They've supported them along the way, defended them from critics and everything, but they're coming up and saying, hey, this music that you guys have actually been trying to make for about a decade now is not good. Can you please stop? Can you please go back to the good stuff? And Linkin Park is saying, screw you. And a lot of people aren't even saying go back to Hybrid Theory. They're just saying go back to heavy music. Go back to the stuff that was really good that, you sold out venues across the world with first. And I've already explained how Linkin Park became the very definition of a sellout. I've already mentioned how it's, disappointed that they're doing that. And the thing that to top this all off is, I can understand if the band was doing it because they need money. They don't need the money. So I'm just like, why are you doing this? Why are you bringing in pop artists to collab on your albums? Why are you bringing in pop producers and writers? You guys are more than talented to make every part of the songs up yourself. And I find it so ironic because they say they don't want to do the teenage-ridden angst anymore, but then you get comments like that, stab yourself in the face. That's very angst-ridden comments, okay? And Chester, one time when they were going to like Minutes to Midnight, he said they didn't want to be pigeonholed into making a particular sound their whole career. Well, guess what, Chester? You have actually pigeonholed yourself. You've pigeonholed yourself into, okay, every time we make a new music album, we have to do something completely different every single time. We have no consistency in our music. Therefore, we have no consistency in our fan base, who we bring in for records and albums, where our music is played, everything like that. There's no consistency. There's nothing to latch on to. It's totally fine for you to experiment with your sound, but that generally means you don't completely flip 180 degrees. Oh, and to top it all off, they're now going to be touring with Machine Gun Kelly. So, yeah, hopefully my rant has made sense to people. Hopefully you can understand why fans feel the way they do about the music, why they're so passionate about it, why they feel their voice matters. I'm not saying you're a slave to people's demands for the music and everything like that, but there are fans out there that are delivering legit criticism, and you just don't care. And they're saying, hey, your music has not been good for the longest time, and you just don't care. That's a slap in the face to people that have supported you financially for years, Anyway, rant over. I'm going to go back to making music, trying to get this album stuff done. Hopefully in the future I'll have some covers up on YouTube and the rest of the songs and everything like that. And thank you guys for watching. Faintest of Breath out.